Hey, kids!
Hey,
Hey, it's me, Johnny Fox here at Snicked, and it's a weekend. It's the afternoon where I am. It's the morning where this guy is. It could be the evening where you are. So, good
it's
morning,
10
good
a.m. where I'm
afternoon, good
at.
evening, whoever you are, whatever you are, and wherever you are out there. This week, we're in Nerdy World. Nerdy World. Taylor time. Excellent. Yeah. It'll all
I
make
love
sense
it.
in a minute.
Yeah, that brings back memories of that movie.
Extreme close up. Nobody needed that. Kids, this is the one and the only uh, Taylor Klein. I'll just let him get comfortable.
Sorry about that.
Hey. So, tell the kids at home a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So, my name's Taylor. I own a page called Taylor's Nerdy World. Honestly, I started the page just for fun, to share fun, nerdy memes, reels, things like that. Even sometimes just random posts for people to remember, reminisce about. Like, I remember recently I just shared a post with someone. I was basically like, "Do you guys still remember this?" And it was just a picture of a map. And everyone's just like, Pokemon Kanto World. And then everyone just started flooding the comments with like, I remember when I caught so and so here, or when I battled so and so here, and I'm just like, oh, the memories. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing with them. Actually, just a hilarious thing. I shared a reel. It was a picture of a cat, and it was like sitting under like a lamplight, and all that's all I shared. And everyone's like, that cat either has a quest for me or is a final boss. And people just kept commenting it and sharing it. And I think it's at like 3 million shares and
Wow.
plays now. And I'm like, it's insane.
This
I'm
is
just like, I've never had that much attention over a
yeah.
cat. So I was exciting. So that's kind of what I do. I've been playing video games since I was 2, 3. My mom said I was holding a controller before I even could walk. That's how long I've been playing games, and it's stuck with me all my life. I also play D&D. I try and collect as much nerdy things as I can in my house, but I have a fiance and a daughter, so they kind of sometimes put a kibosh like, no, no more. Like, if you can see in my background, I have the One Up Turtles arcade machine back there.
Oh.
Over here, I have my Street Fighter. I was told if I ever think of getting a third one, my fiance said she'll throw it out the door in pieces. So I kind of have to put some limitations,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So the
and
thing, kids, this is it. They say grow up but never grow old. There's
exactly,
a
I'll
difference.
prove it here. This shirt is from the Sonic Symphony World
Uh-huh.
Tour Orchestra. It actually came to Minnesota in end of June. Oddly enough, the concert was on the same day as Sonic's birthday, and yeah, I went, and I don't care. I was proud to admit it. And it was a sold out show, just so people are aware. Like,
Oh man.
it was fantastic. I recommend if anyone can find tickets to go to it, go to it. It's probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. Even my 11-year-old daughter was having a blast, and she
Yeah.
doesn't really know anything about Sonic except he's a fast running hedgehog. So it was just like, even she got into it. So that tells you my nerdism is like I was surrounded by a bunch of people at a concert for Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Out of all the
If
things
they,
in the world,
I'd be there. I'd be there. Give me a chance. I'll be there. I'm a
if they're tour
hands
dates,
down.
so maybe they'll be
I
coming because they're doing a world tour,
I
so they
was
probably going across the seas.
such a Sega boy.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, there was no. I mean, for me, I don't know about for you. For me, growing up, there was no real hardcore rivalry. I mean, I had friends that went Nintendo. You know,
Huh?
we sometimes we trade consoles for just
Oh
for
yeah.
like a week, and then like and then swap back. Just so we
Oh
could
yeah.
try out, and and just going to friends' houses before we were all playing online and with people half the way across the world and all that, and just actually
Yeah.
going round to a friend's house, playing couch co-op and
Yeah.
Smash TV and Street Fighter and all of that. So I got to play Nintendo, as much Nintendo as I played Sega and Sega. But I went with Sega. And I love the Game Gear. I know the Game Boy gets all the love, and rightly so. It's fantastic. But I truly loved my Game Gear. In some ways more than I did the Mega Drive or Genesis for you guys.
That just dates us. That just dates us. And anyone's like, what are these systems? And I'm just like, you people. Actually, yeah. So I play D&D. One of my friends, he's actually a doctor, and he does a bunch of other side gigs, so he's rich. I wish I could go to his house right now and show you guys, but he owns every single video game console ever made from 1970 onward.
Wow.
And they're all like sealed in box, brand new ones that he's found on the internet.
Yeah.
And he has them all, neatly organized from, and he has them. He even bought like the versions of, like, some of them had like, special edition versions released, like, when Xbox released like a special Star Wars edition and stuff like that. He has those. And they're just sitting there on his shelves all nicely and organized and neat. I'm like, I want to rob you right now, but I don't at the same time because I'm in awe of all this. I just want to like faint on the spot. And he's just, like, oh yeah, I bought this one, cost me like $5,000. This one cost me like $3,000. This one cost me $1,800. I'm just like, I hate you inside a little bit, but I'm so proud to be your friend at the same time because like,
yeah,
this is the only place I think you'll ever see something like that in your life.
Yeah,
like
you see,
he had a game console. Go ahead.
I don't want. I mean, like as you say, when you have a family and limitations, and beyond your simple economic limitations that we all have, there are life limitations as well. But I wouldn't. I mean, I would want that, but at the same time, I don't want a museum. I like to play with my toys.
Oh no,
you know what I mean?
He has open ones too that he plays with. So like right now, I think he's playing like the old like 32X Sega Master System and Sega Genesis and kind of working through those games. So I'm like, okay, at least you're playing these consoles too and not just prettying them. He's like, no, I bought other ones that were open boxes I could play. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I feel a little bit better now.
Great.
Yeah, the coolest one he showed me was apparently talked about this like back in like 1975. Apple made a video game console, and they only made like 2,000 of them, and he somehow found one. I'm just like, Apple made a video game console? What? Like that was unheard of. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just the coolest thing ever, that's like, yeah. But that's kind of like my ultimate game nerd moment was when I walked in his house the first time I saw that collection. I just wanted to faint on the spot. So.
Oh man. So what were you? What was what were your childhood favorites? Screw it. The young people can skip forward to a later segment.
There's so many good series and games that it's just I don't really have like one favorite because they all have different memories or different just like wow factors. Like I don't know, like it's hard to say. Like I remember playing, like Mario Kart 64 against friends and family in the original Smash Brothers. Me and my older brother fought it out in Street Fighter 2 a lot on the SNES. Of course, I played almost every Sonic game that was on the Sega Genesis and some other weird ones that people are just still would be like, is this even a game? And I'm like, yes, it was. It was actually a real game. Like, there was an old Super Nintendo game called King Arthur's World. Not many people know about it. And it was like, but it was one of those like, I wouldn't call them RPGs-ish, but more of like a, here's X number of guys you have to reach the objective. It's kind of more of like almost like a strategy game, but you had limited supply where if you're out of guys, you're out of guys. Good luck. And it was one of those weirdest games that I remember I just poured hours upon hours into, and everyone's like, "Why do you like this game?" I'm like, "Because it's different."
Yeah.
Once I'm out of like, I only get 30 guys and to choose, and once I'm out, they're gone. They don't come back. I got to figure out how to beat this level with the tie 5 guys I have left, and I hope I can do it, kind of thing. So I don't know. That's one of my memories. The Sly Cooper series, for those who remember that series, I poured over that series. The first one, second one, third one. I was so excited when they released that Thieves in Time, and then I was disappointed in it because it just did not feel like the rest. And then they left that cliffhanger, and I'm like, oh, there's going to be a fifth one. And I'm still waiting. It's been like 20 years. I feel like I'm still waiting for that fifth one. Come on, Sucker Punch, if you see this, there's fans who still want that fifth game. Please come back to it, or someone, anyone. So that's another one. Big fan of the Kingdom Hearts series. The first one, second one, third one. I actually, even when the third one came out, I actually took off the day from work and tracked down a copy, which was hard as heck to find. I remember that. I remember I had a copy ordered. I think it was from like Target, and they said it'd take like a week, and I was just bummed. Then I'm like, I'm just gonna go, drown my sorrows and go check out what Best Buy next door has in stock. I walked into Best Buy and they had like the collector's editions out there on stock on the floor, and I'm like, you have these? Like everywhere's sold out for like the next 2 weeks. And they're like, yeah, people kind of forget that we actually carry games, I think, some days. And I'm like, mine. I just grabbed the copy and quickly ran and bought it and ran out the door. And I'm like, canceling Target order. Why? And I'm just like, and I just put in the notes, Best Buy beat you to the punch. That was kind of like that was my little shot at them. Like, yeah, maybe you guys should, don't forget about your rivals out there. So, but there's just so many series. I don't know how to put it. I even had a computer. For a while, I was heavy into like PC gaming. Played the World of Warcrafts, Counter Strikes, all those. I actually have got. I don't know if you remember this. You might. Call of Duty when it first came out on the PC, and then it had like the Call of Duty United Offensive expansion pack era. I actually got really heavy into that. Before pro gaming became a big thing, I actually joined a clan even, and we were playing in like professional pro tournaments, which was really weird because I never thought at the age of here I am like a 15-year-old kid going, oh my god, I'm playing against like 30-year-old guys in Call of Duty, and I'm holding my own. This is crazy. And then I remember one day, because I remember I was sitting there, I was playing the game, and we were in like a team chat. The guy's like, yeah, my sponsors can be sending me we didn't do as great as I like, but I still got my sponsor money coming this month of like 15,000. I'm like, you're getting paid to do this? He's like, yeah, don't you? And I'm like, no, this is a thing. He's like, yeah, this, they're trying to look at, to turn us gamers into like actual athletes. And I'm like, this is a thing? I wish I stuck with that, but whatever. So I've kind of hopped all over the place. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just memories from all different genres and games. I don't have a biasness to one system or the other. I've always stand by the statement that every system console has its pros and cons. Every system console has its good games, bad games, and I honestly appreciate them all because they're either all going to be gone one day or you're going to miss them. And if you're just going to be that someone who goes like, because I remember I had friends who'd be like, well, I'm never going to play Sony. I'm an Xbox guy. And I'm like, you're missing out on a lot of great games, though, that are Sony only because you're just being loyal to one company for whatever reason that you have. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, Halo's a fantastic game when it was out, but there's still also other great games too. Give them a shot.
Yeah.
You'll never know what you find. So that's always how I've seen it.
Yeah. You gotta, yeah. It's all about the fun. I get,
Yeah.
I get, you know, it's what the companies want. They want to get that brand loyalty out of you. I mean, that's just business sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it's like, I don't know, it's like only ever listening to Metallica, which which I know a lot of Metallica fans do. But I've never understood that either. It's you gotta go with your mood, go with what you fancy. The more options, player choice. Big believer in player choice.
Yeah.
And it's what I want in the games, and it's what I want, from the gamers. Why would you not want that? I mean, obviously, again, economic limitations.
Yeah.
You're paying hundreds of dollars, hundreds of pounds for a system. Maybe what you've got to pick one, perhaps, and it'll have to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, that whole kind of
A
the
lot
whole
I met were
toxic
just though they
kind
didn't they
of
had the money for two systems or three, but they just weren't doing it because of pride or I don't know what their weird reasons were, but it's whatever. I mean, I don't know. That's why I saw it, but gaming has evolved, and I'm so proud to see it's evolved. I mean, this is like I guess the best way I can describe it is probably like for me recently to see how far gaming has come, and it's weird to say this. I look at Baldur's Gate 3 versus like Baldur's Gate 1. I mean, even then, that was still a very great game when Baldur's Gate 1, the first Baldur's Gate came out, but Baldur's Gate 3, here was, I I always say this, and this is true, like your $100 million big title games that take, that they pour all this money into, they can be great, but they can be a hindrance because there's sometimes those little games that just pop out or just come out from unknown studios that will blow you out of the water because they're not afraid to take risks. And I've seen this a lot in the game industry over all my years. There's so many games where they get hampered by they have to do this, or this is what the fans want kind of thing. And I'm like, but you gotta once in a while innovate or you're gonna die. I think of Madden.
True.
Like that is a series to me that I feel like every year they just release the same game, maybe add one or two new things, and I'm like, it's eventually your fans are gonna go, no, I'm not gonna pay this because this is the same game as last year. The only thing that's changed is the players' names. Other than that, you've gave me the same game for the past 10 years. Do something different. I think even the WWE 2K series had that happen for a while, where it was just, I think, the fans revolted, and I think they spent 2 years before they released another one just to give fans something different. And I'm like, I want to see more game industries be like, we don't need to follow the same. We can change things up or change something new. Like, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like forgetting that it's it's an art form. This is a creative industry, but such is the world we live in, and I mean, like you said, a AAA title now. There are so many people involved in having to create that, and that's a lot of resources. That's a lot of labor. That's a lot of wages. That's a lot of skill. So these games are genuinely costing a ton of cash to make, which is getting passed on to us in the inflated prices. But it's, I guess, to try and play devil's advocate a little, although I totally agree with you. I guess the maybe more so the publishers than the developers as such. Maybe the developers under pressure from the publishers. That it's like, what kind of games will make money as opposed to what kind of games do people want to play?
Yeah.
What kind of games would be interesting? And I think most gamers would agree. We're always looking for that buzz, always looking for something new, something interesting, something we haven't done before, haven't seen before.
I mean,
and that's the one that will make you the money. And then you feel like there's these guys in suits scratching their heads and their asses going, why? How come that made all the money when our our clone of this previous game that made a ton of money somehow flopped? Because we've already played that one.
Well, I mean, look at Baldur's Gate look at Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, if you look at Larian Studios, they made, what, 3 games before Baldur's Gate 3? I think they made Baldur's Gate 1, and then the Divinity series, 1 and 2, and that was, like, I think that's the only games they made. And here they go. They released this Baldur's Gate 3, and everyone's like, I mean, there was some hype about it, there was some news about it, but it wasn't a humongous news. I mean, there was still some hype around the nerd community, but not as much.
Yeah.
But once it got into people's hands, and people are like, where was this studio? Like,
yeah.
Why were people talking about this more? Because this game, I've played. That to me, that is probably the best iteration of a D&D game I have seen in ever in a long, long time. I know and they had limitations. I mean, I think there's probably more stuff they want to do with the game, but they just couldn't do. But just what they were able to pull out of that game and to put into it, and just the freedom and the choices and story and everything from this tiny little studio. And now look at it, they have what, like 150 awards they've been won for that game alone. Like, this ridiculous. Is something where I think other publishers can take a look at and go, look what this little studio did. Look how much they were willing to push the envelope on so many things, and look how it paid off for them. And now they're one of the best known studios out there. And they've even, I think they even announced themselves, like, we're not doing a Baldur's Gate 4. We're not, we can't. Like, we can't, we just won't, because we don't want to set up people for failure. Maybe another studio will do it if they want, but it'll be a tough thing to follow act on.
It was crazy how it took so many people by surprise. I mean, I was stupidly impressed by it. I still am. I'm not quite there yet. I'm well into Act 3, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm taking it at a very leisurely pace. I've kind of gone away and come back, and gone away and come back, because it's kind of like, there's a part of me that, like, anytime I have time for a gaming session, that's kind of the game I want to put on. But then sometimes the game being the way it is, if you've only kind of, like, maybe got an hour to kill, you just won't feel like you're going to accomplish. Like, unless I have, like, the day to really commit to this game. It's like, it's unfair on the game to boot it up as like a tease, just to turn it off an hour later. I feel like the game will be like, fuck you. You know. My
downfall is I keep wanting to start over and try new play classes and builds and everything. So I have, like, I think 10 different characters going. I'm just like, ooh, this is fun. I want to try this now. And I'm like, I will eventually get, I have one character on Act 3, and I'm like, yes, this one's going to finish the story. But then I go, like, ooh, but what about these builds? I want to see how they play out. And I'm like, all right, back to Act 1 to build a new class to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad about it. I swear I'll finish it one day.
Yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there. At least one, like you said, at least once. At least one full playthrough with one character, and then a whole bunch of just things for fun, because you
a friend and I actually are, we can set up, like, I think, like, once a month or twice a month, we'll sit down and set, like, we'll meet at like 2:00, do a couch co-op. We're doing a playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, and I think we're on Act 2. And she has stuck with, like, one class, which is like a ranger class, and I'm on, like, my 4th swap of classes. Like, I started off as a monk, then I went to a druid, then I think I went to, like, a sorcerer, and now I think I went to a bard. I'm just like, she's like, can you not stick with one class? I'm like, no, there's just so many options I want to try, though. I can't help it. Like, stick with one. I'm like, I can't. There's too many trials.
And with every quest you do, however you end up doing it, the knowledge that you just know, you can see, you can read between the lines within that quest that you know. We probably could have done it the other way, or this other way, or even a 4th way, or a 5th way. I can probably just kill the motherfucker, right? Instead of going through all that. Or, you know, maybe we could actually, you could side with them. We could have gone against them. We could have,
so you're thinking, many times I've let my friend
and do them all.
I've let my friend make the decisions because I'm like, I don't want to make the decisions for us because I know how the X, Y, and Z will go. And I want to see what you do because all of a sudden there'll be, oh look, there's ZX and ZZ and like there's another 20 more different directions that this storyline took because of this one answer that you went completely off from what I would have guessed. And I'm like, oh, like I remember we got to the part where we met can't remember his name, Alamanster or whatever, and she just chose to attack him. And all of a sudden I'm like, you can do that? And all of a sudden we're in a fight against this like level 18 wizard. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna die. And I was like, did not see that coming. I did not think the game would actually let us do that, but here we are. We're in a boss battle and we're in trouble. We're like level 5 and he's like level 18. This is gonna end bad. So just things like that. That it's just I hope more studios kind of start doing stuff like that where they're just going to like take risks on these games and
I
truly
feel like
push the envelope and innovate.
Which an upcoming game for me that has a lot riding on it, very much in that context, would be the new Fable.
Oh God, yes.
I was a huge fan originally. I recently went back and replayed through the first game. And I feel like it still holds up. I feel like it's still like with the moral choices and what have you. It's fairly like like Baldur's Gate where there's 10 different ways to do everything. There's really a kind of binary good or evil way of doing everything.
Yeah, there was only like maybe 3-ish.
Yeah,
but it still held up for its time.
Yeah, but I still feel there's plenty of games.
Yeah.
Since then that haven't had that much player choice, that haven't made me that immersed. I mean, I'm gonna be controversial here. Even Skyrim.
I'm sorry.
It's a great game and everything, but it has one linear story to play through, really, for me.
And then there was Starfield, which was I call Skyrim in space.
Skyrim in space. Which also, the choices are very limited. It's if they say go kill this guy, you go kill that guy, and that's the end of it. Not a huge amount of role playing involved in that for me. So Fable, the years between from Fable 1 through to Starfield, some time has passed.
Oh yeah,
and like 0 lessons learned. I know it's 2 different studios, but
no, it was the same studio.
For me, if you're going
to reboot Fable, studios, you're right.
You're going to reboot Fable. You're going to put it out there. You've got all this new gen hardware, all this processing power, on consoles.
Yeah,
you've seen what Larian did. Fable 3. Fable reboot. It's got.
Talk about Fable 3.
I'm putting a lot of pressure on this reboot. I mean, they don't care what I think, but
no, I think I can see I follow you in that point because this could make or break the company for. I feel like a lot of people are of their faith in the series. Like I think of so many games are getting remakes now, and it's getting out of hand. Because are they really remakes, or are they just add some pretty paint and try to sell it for $60 kind of game? And that's getting really frustrating me as a gamer because I'm like, oh look, we're remaking this game. And I'm like, but it's the same game. Yeah. You haven't really changed much. You maybe made the graphics a bit prettier, but other than that, not much. There is only, I think, one game that I've played. There's actually 2 games I played out of remakes that I've actually truly enjoyed from like, okay, you really improved this. One was the Dead Space remake. I don't know if you played that one yet or not.
Yeah.
That one was fantastic. Like they took, I don't know, they just improved the gameplay mechanics, the game, the effects, the lighting, the storytelling, everything about it that was about the first 3. They just redid it and went back to the drawing board and said, well, let's keep the story, but we could improve upon the mechanics and all the other things that were just made it not as good.
Yeah.
And I played the remake and I was impressed by it. The other remake, and sorry Nintendo, I know I appreciate you doing remakes, but a lot of remakes are garbage. But this Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake they did a great job on it. Like, they fixed so many issues that I had with the first one based on just like from the combat features, just the graphics, some of the weird quirks and bugs of the original game that you basically kind of, glitch your way through and be like, oh look, I can beat this boss by just doing this, are no longer relevant kind of thing. Like, and at the same time they kept the charm and feel of the original and kept what made it such a great game that was a sleeper hit for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's another one. I'm like, please, if you're making a remake, take a page from those two games or something and fix what made the first one, not fix the issues with the first one to make it better. And maybe I can justify paying the price for it again if you keep the feel of the first game and the core of it, but you fix it.
It's like I mean the exact same thing appears to be happening with the movie industry. It's constant.
Yeah.
It's constant remakes or reboots. What are the subtle difference between the two, and then sequels like 30 years later that nobody asked for, nobody wanted, which is essentially it's just a remake or a reboot. Like, they retell the same story and yet claim it's a sequel.
Twisters? Is that Twisters? Are we talking about Twisters on that one?
It never ends, really. I mean,
I know.
I mean,
that's the first movie that pops into mind is the Twisters. Like, I didn't even care about
I think would be pretty much just Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Again. But
I'm still excited though, because it looks like it's actual sequel, and it looks like they're actually bringing back some of the original characters from the first one, so there's going to be some continuity. But I'm a little concerned of this 30 years later bit of, or almost 30 years later release. Like, I appreciate Michael Keaton coming back and all the actors coming back from the original, but like, it's not,
it was like
going to be the same.
Yeah. For me, it's like with the Ghostbusters franchise. It's, if you're wanting to bring it back, right?
Yeah.
And the original cast are all old, and you want to have a younger, sexier, cooler cast, but you were too scared to just like make a new film with these new people. So you kind of mix the two together, and it's cool if you get like a passing of the torch from the old cast to the new cast.
Didn't they?
Hopefully, we'll learn. I think from Ghostbusters' mistake is, instead of doing the afterlife and passing the torch onto the kids, onto Egon's granddaughter, etc.
Yeah.
They then made a second film where it's still mixing both casts, and it's kind of like, as much as I love that original cast to death and those original movies, they've had their time, and to cameo and pass that torch, that's great, and that made me go all weird and fucking fangirly, to see that once. But I didn't really.
Second time was like,
we was like, okay, move on. This is quite good. Finn Wolfhard, and I quite like that young cast. I was like, after Afterlife, I was thinking, I could watch more Ghostbusters with these kids. I could get into that.
And then Frozen Empire, and they're like, they bring him back again. I'm like, I can understand having them making a cameo, going, hey, we're here, here's some of the equipment, we've been working on to improve Ghostbusting, but don't make them part of it. Like, they can be support characters now, basically. Let them be support, if anything. But they didn't really they felt like they were more of the stars again, and that was frustrating to me.
Yeah.
I think because they tried doing the passed the torch when they did that Ghostbusters back. What was it with the all-female cast, and that didn't work. It didn't work at all. People, I remember fans revolted against that
Oh
movie.
my
Like,
God, no, it is nobody like. I mean, it's to be honest, I've rewatched it
I remember
quite
watching it. I thought it was
recently.
a decent movie.
Genuinely, yeah, it ain't bad. I mean, nobody wanted it as a concept. I mean, maybe they're just being sexist or whatever, but it's like there was, but it's a fun movie. It's funny. It carries a lot of the same.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the same vibes of the original movies. They had a cast that worked quite well together. There's some good chemistry there. They're all
Oh yeah.
they'll know each other. They're all familiar with each other from like Saturday Night Live and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good group of female comedians. But it is missing something. That kind of can't quite put your finger on it. It's I get why
I
it didn't really.
think if there would have been a cameo from the original group where they would have, made a cameo or something or acknowledged them that, hey,
Yeah,
we're the next generation, that might have been okay with fans. Like, okay, this is the next generation taking over for the retired group or whatever. I think we could have been okay with that, but they kind of acted like the original Ghostbusters never even existed.
yeah,
Like they weren't even like, oh yeah, these guys don't even exist. Like that, you can't do that to a series. You gotta at least acknowledge them. Like, hey, they were here. Like they exist. Maybe they retired or moved on to other things in life. Like, but the new ones did. But I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's
But
still, like I said, I thought it was a decent movie. I don't have hate. I mean, I'm probably in the minority. You know, I'm in the minority because I know a lot of people hated that movie, and I'm like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't
yeah,
terrible.
I don't hate. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. That's far too strong language. We are starting to get a lot of video game movies.
Oh gosh, yes.
Let's tie this together in a bow. The video game movies. It's not a new thing. My prediction. My prediction. I've said this a few times. My prediction. I think video game movies will be
The next
like
thing.
the next big thing. The way superhero movies. I
Were
mean, there's
for
like always been superhero movies for decades, but once we got to like, once we got to
once we
like
got
the MCU,
done with all the Avengers movies, basically they kind of pittered away from them
yeah,
for a
and
while.
we finally got. I mean, obviously, an actual comic book company making comic book movies,
Yeah.
and they're good. Who'd have thought it? Marvel
Mm-hmm.
actually making Marvel movies instead of Fox or Universal or whatever,
Yeah.
and they know how to write. Marvel knows how to write Marvel characters.
Oh yeah.
Shocker. So that worked, and we've had a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
horrible video game movies, just like we had many. But you take what you can get. If you're a gamer, it's still kind of.
Mario Brothers 1992. Anyone remember that one?
I have such a soft spot for that movie, though. It's
Fine.
it's in my
Mortal
kind of
Kombat Annihilation
good
or
kind of
Street.
thing.
No, wait, no. Street Fighter the movie. There you go. How about that one? Can we acknowledge that one was atrociously bad?
I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Kylie Minogue. Who was what? How does that
Yeah, exactly.
any kind of quality control?
Or the Tekken movies. We got the Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Us gamers, we endured like 2 to 3 decades of just garbage.
We have had some serious trash. The kind of like straight to DVD Hitman movies. There's been a
the Resident Evil ones.
them.
Even the Resident Evil ones weren't that great. Like I don't know where they went. Like that series just went off the rails.
Yeah, I do. I like the Resident Evil movies. Just trying to like turn the gamer off, just to enjoy an action movie, enjoy a cool cool, sexy, badass action movie with some monsters and some guns, and they're fun.
But as a gamer,
not to like, and they're all pretty short.
Yeah,
you start bringing in the Resident Evil context. If you know the games and the lore, then I guess they kind of suck. But again, kind of like we do same with Ghostbusters, they are fun action movies. I get that Resident Evil is a very beloved franchise, and I do get the the people who take it very much to heart and have a huge issues with those films. I do hear you, but
I
yeah,
think
they're
the
fun. They're fun action films.
I think the movie that really kind of started bringing video games back to the big screen and kind of brought faith back to the industries was the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that the first one they released,
Yeah,
because
man.
that was kind of like the I had a feeling if that one would have failed, video game studios would have been like, no, we're not taking any more risks. And I'm very
Yeah,
proud of, like, was it Paramount? I don't remember. Was it
yes,
Paramount that made it?
yeah,
Like that Paramount was willing to like make it and then listen to the fans when the fans said, no, this isn't Sonic the Hedgehog, and really to like redo the movie basically after being like, what was it, like 70% done or something? They're like, no, okay,
yeah,
the fans are not happy with this. They're not happy with our portrayal. We're going to redo it and fix it. And they did that and released it. And all of us fans were like, thank you for listening. We do appreciate this because this is what the movie,
yeah,
I mean, it wasn't, the best Sonic the Hedgehog movie ever, but it was a very good adaptation of it overall for what us as gamers know who Sonic the Hedgehog was as a character kind of thing. Like, we were
yeah,
impressed. Like, we're happy with this. This is not terrible. And you got some good actors who actually played their characters pretty
yeah.
well. And you kind of got some almost like origin story-ish
No,
that
I do.
fit the character.
I have a lot of love for both those movies. I think
Yes.
it does. It's Sonic.
Like,
He does Sonic things.
like,
He's mischievous. He's an edgy '90s teenager. He's a little
and
restless, a little ADHD.
Jim Carrey is
He's chili
Dr.
dogs. He's got
Yeah,
there's rings, there's speed, there's
yeah.
what the banter's fantastic.
And Jim Carrey's Eggman was actually, I was very impressed by him. Like, he gave us some depth to Eggman that a lot of people don't get.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of got an origin story of who he was and how he kind of came to be who he was. And I was like, thank you. Like, I'm actually, I'm happy. And I'm kind of glad he's coming back to do Sonic 3 because I'm like,
I think there's this. That's what it is. There's heart in those movies.
yeah,
Like I say, Eggman could, and especially you bring in Jim Carrey, it could have just been one-dimensional slapstick,
exactly.
and
And
you're
that's
just
what I
there
was
to be
afraid of.
defeated anyway. You're the bad guy. You're just there to get beat. So it's like you don't matter. But they made him matter, and you kind of
They made him matter, and you kind of
care.
felt almost a little bit sorry for the guy, and a little bit of sadness, like almost pityish. Like, I feel a little bit of sadness now for him and how he ended up the way he is, because he could have been a good guy technically. If you watch the movie, like, you could have, things could have changed differently. He could actually turn out to be more of a hero-ish or almost like an anti-hero kind of thing, but at least not a villainish thing. And so I'm excited. Like, Sonic kind of saved, I think, video game franchises, and you got Nintendo with their Mario movie, and of course they're making their sequel, and I think, didn't they say Nintendo's now working on like a Legend of Zelda movie or something? And just all the game studios, I think, are finally like, okay,
I think
we
there's been like
we can do this right. Like, we can do something here if we just listen to the fans and respect the material.
We're still at a point, though, or I am still at a point. I am still incredibly apprehensive.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
each of
I
these
am
releases.
too.
There's still so much scope to get it wrong. I don't think
Oh
they
gosh, yeah.
have the exact kind of blueprint yet to just go, oh, that's how you do it. I feel like
no, I agree.
because I think the Mario, the animated Mario movie, maybe there's something not quite there for me. I enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
I expected and I wanted. I didn't go into it as some like cynical old man not wanting to watch a kids cartoon or anything. It's like, this is Mario. This is my youth. This is for me. It's got to be like aimed at me, right? I mean, 4-year-olds don't know who Mario is. I do. 40-year-olds do. So I mean, everybody knows Mario, but You thought there's got to be stuff in there, for the parents, for the people who were there, at the
Oh
beginning.
yeah,
You've got, and there is, but I also
there's
felt
so many
like,
references that you don't
yeah,
catch if you don't watch. You have to watch at least a couple times. And I appreciate that comment. Yeah, it is correct. Sometimes you just gotta get it wrong. Sometimes so that the right studio comes along and says, "Okay, my turn. Let me show you guys how it's done,"
yeah. I mean,
kind of thing.
because Assassin's Creed, uh,
Oh,
uh,
I had hope for that
I
movie, and
get
it just
it
I was sad.
because I love Fassbender, and I thought, yeah, that works. You see that announcement? They're making an
Hmm.
Assassin's Creed movie. There's apprehension. There's Assassin's Creed, a franchise that would make a good movie, or
Oh
three,
yeah, I
or
mean,
four.
this is serious. Like
Um,
it feels
it,
like it's a franchise. Like you can't mess up a movie,
yeah, it,
and
it
they
seems,
did.
yeah, it's like much like with most of any of the sort of like the comic book movies. It's like it's right there, like
Hmm. Hmm.
you've just got to do that. It's right
Just
there. Um,
follow the script they gave you, and you'll be fine. I
yeah.
mean, it's not that. Like, I remember, I think it was way back, um, I think it was Fox, one of them, Fox. They showed a trailer, and it was, I remember they were actually one point working on a Sly Cooper movie way, way back. And all we got was like the 30-second trailer, and it just died. And I think it's because a lot of fans are like, this isn't Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper. Okay, gosh, yes, the DBZ movie. Thank you for reminding us of that one.
No.
Who could forget that one?
We're
That's
trying. We're trying,
we
but
tried. They tried
it
for that one, but
burns.
I mean,
Burns.
who can we just not remember that movie because I don't want to remember Goku and I'm a high school kid
Oh
and just
man, I mean,
oh that was I don't think Dragon Ball Z will ever be a movie that they can make into live action and do well. I think they should just stick with their animated movies because
but
there's just
they
I
will.
can't see it.
They will keep
They
trying.
might try, but I don't know. I can't see it. They tried once, and I just don't have faith of them ever trying again after that horrible flop. Or kind of like what happened with Avatar: The Last Airbender movie.
Hmm.
But I blame M Night Shyamalan on that one because they had enough source material to make a good movie, and they didn't.
I was.
And you saw what
I
Netflix.
mean, I don't know
Well,
if. I mean,
You saw what Netflix did with the show.
yeah. I mean, I don't know the history of the Airbender movie. I don't know if M Night, if that was a project, a thing that like he actively wanted to get going,
Yes.
or if it was a job that he took. Like they offered him the movie and he thought, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I'll do that." Or
I
if it's
think
a
it's
project he had,
the later. I don't know the details,
yeah,
but I
because
do
it
know
seems
they're
like
making another Avatar. But I think they're making another Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. If I recall, I think they're making one that's supposed to come out like 2025, but it's supposed to take place like 10 years after the animated series
yeah,
ended, kind of thing. So I'm
yeah.
apprehensive on it,
Netflix,
but I'm
Netflix.
curious.
I think Netflix have a lot of irons in the fire. They
But
have a BioShock movie in
yep,
the
yep, they have that.
works at
I
some
know they
point.
just
We've been hearing about it for a few years now, but we haven't had so much of a trailer or anything, so I don't know if that's
yeah.
actually going to turn up.
I
But
think there's what was it? There's talks now maybe making Red Dead Redemption into a movie, and I don't know.
I don't know about
I don't know. I'm I want to have faith in the gaming world movies, and I do. I mean, like I said, Sonic gave me some faith. Mario gave me some
yeah.
faith. Like I agree with you. Mario was a fantastic movie. I saw it like 4 times. I'll admit that. It was a
I think what
fantastic
they're looking at,
movie, but I wanted more from it a little bit.
I think the issue is they'll be looking at making video game movies of video games that are already movies. The
Hmm.
cinematic, story-driven, narrative-driven games. Um, Also, looking for things that are essentially, it's just a bunch of guys and girls walking around talking to each other. None of the far-fetched, none of the no
Oh,
aliens and monsters
oh,
and hedgehogs or whatever.
okay.
Anything that they can just make as you would anyway. Like the
Mhm.
Last of Us
Yep,
and things like that.
that was
Anything that
good.
just translates straightforward. Anything they don't have to work too hard on.
Yep.
Like I said, like the issue issue with Ugly Sonic, you know, because like the idea of trying to make it realistic, like, which I never understand why movie studios do that. You know, you're talking about a blue hedgehog in red trainers that runs at super speed from another dimension, and then you go, let's make it realistic.
Yeah,
At what point
I can.
do you bother making? It's like with the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
Yeah.
You're dealing with Batman. You don't need to make it realistic. It's Batman. It's not a real world. It's in Gotham. It's not in New York. It's not in LA. It's in Gotham. Everything's as fantastical and fictional as it gets. We're going to keep getting shit Batman movies until somebody works out and realizes that Batman's just as much of fantasy superhero as a Superman or Goku or Spider-Man or anyone who flies around and shoots laser beams out their eyes. Yes, I know he just punches people in the throat, and you know his superpower is money.
Money. That's pretty much right.
I mean, also he was back in the day incredibly smart. He's the world's greatest detective.
Well, the first Batman that was called
anymore.
The Batman one with what's his name? I can't think of his name now. Robert Pattinson. I mean, that was kind of like an origin Batman story-ish, not pure origin, but we saw earlier Batman, which you kind of saw a different side Batman, which was kind of nice because you saw a Batman who was not Batman-ish.
Yeah.
He was more of a flawed Batman of, you know, he hadn't developed morals yet. He was just kind of on a vendetta-ish kind of thing, which was, and he still hadn't, he did still has money, but he hadn't developed like his personality of a Batman yet, which I actually kind of enjoyed that one. That was actually a decent one.
Yeah.
Batman protects the elites. Yeah, I can kind of see that logic there.
Yeah, I definitely am. I definitely want to see where they're going within the context of that universe, that Pattinson Batman universe. It'll be interesting.
Oh yeah.
But so
go ahead.
So if you could make a video game movie, let's pure fantasy. It's gonna be good, right? because because like, what video game would you like to see made into a movie? And every gamer says none because they'll fuck it up, right? Which is the right answer, of course. But so let's live in a dream world where it's guaranteed that they nail it and get it right. What would you love to be sat in the dark seeing on the big screen?
That is so tough because there's so many games out there that deserve to be. I'm torn between two franchises. Either the Old Republic series, if they can get that right. If they could get that right, that would be a fantastic movie series. I mean, I am just those games itself, the lore, the history. You saw Jedi in a much more. They weren't black and whitish. They were very grayish more, and you kind of saw Jedi as like flawed as well. Like they weren't always. You saw them more as they were still considered guardians and protectors of peace, and not generals like we saw in all the movies that we were forced to watch, where they're basically just fighters and warriors. They were more just diplomats, which was. And you kind of also saw, like, you know, the Jedi were around and they were there, but they weren't loved by everyone. They were still respected, but they weren't loved because people saw, like, their word was kind of law, and that wasn't always the correct answer sometimes. Like, they made mistakes. They were kind of almost seen like a judge, jury, executioner kind of thing at the time in the series. And I remember playing the Knights of the Old Republic series, and I was just like, why are their decisions final kind of thing? Like, there was a lot of things like, oh, well, yeah, the Jedi said so, that must be it. It's like, but is it? Because that doesn't make sense kind of thing. Hellblade? Oh, I didn't think of that one. That would be a good one. But I think one if, and this is a big if, you'd have to get the right actors, you'd have to get so many players on board. I think Kingdom Hearts could be a very good movie series if Disney would be willing to do it and get all their studios behind it, because
Yeah.
just messages behind it resonate with so many kids. You know, friendship and together with your friends and united friendship and good versus evil, but saving the world by the power of friends and saving those you love, and just like the first maybe Kingdom Hearts 1 and maybe even into Kingdom Hearts 2-ish they could do-ish. I could see it just like that could be a fantastic movie, because it'd just be like it could be even if it was live action. I don't know if it could do live action, but maybe even animate, like a big screen animated version of it,
Yeah.
where they still got, it still was made by a big name studio, but I think that is a series that could be a major hit because of just all the messages that Disney's hammers home in their movies in a video game, but with characters that a lot of us know, love, and care about, and would love to see on a big screen. And I think it could draw on a lot of kids too, be like, oh look, because there's Mickey Mouse and there's Donald, or all of a sudden pops up is maybe Peter Pan, or pops up
Yeah.
Elsa from Frozen, and just all these major Disney characters that kids would adore, be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't think of that. Like,
Totally.
it'd be like cameo galore for Disney, and be like marketing heaven for them, because they could take all these franchises they have money in and just throw them into one thing.
Yeah. Why not?
So
Great call. Great call. So, kids, if you're just joining us, welcome to Nerdy World. This is Taylor from Taylor's Nerdy World. Look it up on social media. You'll thank us later.
Yep.
And we'll be talking a bunch of video games, bunch of movies, bunch of video game movies. Now, a thing I always like to do, what
about your movie choice? You didn't answer your movie choice.
Oh,
what was your movie choice, though?
Oh,
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, see, you can't make me come up on the spot here without you.
There's a part of me, I want to say Mass Effect.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I'm a bit of a kind of sci-fi is kind of my thing, and I feel like sci-fi is not very good recently. I think if you're a sci-fi fan, there's not been a great deal. Not movie-wise, TV shows. It never ends really. There's always something at least half decent to keep your attention before it gets cancelled, long before the storyline ever finishes. But
Portal.
movies.
Oh, so mentioned Portal. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Or Half-Life. Or the Half-Life series.
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing. I was going to say if Mass Effect or maybe Half-Life.
I would love for them if they'd ever make Half-Life 3, but I don't think they ever will.
I almost feel like they're not going to do it. Almost like they don't do it out of spite now. Almost like it's become such a kind of living meme. That,
I know. Well, you got Half-Life 1, you had 2. Then they did Part 2. Then they did what? Half-Life 2 Part 1, Half-Life 2 Part 2. Then not long ago they did Half-Life Alyx. I'm like, you keep releasing things related to the game series and building on the continuity. When are you just going to say, here's Half-Life 3 we've been working on for 20 years?
Maybe like expectation is just so high that they're just so scared to disappoint us.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if also just one day they just like announce all blue. Oh yeah, we're releasing Half-Life 3 here in the next month. Like, it wouldn't surprise me from Valve if they did something like.
I could see that. I think if they are going to do it, I think that's what you'll get. You'll not get this like E3 kind of announcement with like 2 years notice and this drip feed of information and trailers and dev diaries. I think it'll just be like, boom, here's this freaking awesome trailer. Like, as soon as it starts, you're like, wait, is that Half-Life? Holy shit, it is Half-Life. And then it's like, what spin-off is this going to be? No, it's Half-Life 3. And then it'll say, coming, and you're waiting for like 2042. And it says like August. And you go, what?
Yeah.
It's like 2 months away.
I mean, we don't have
the pennies now, kids.
Sadly, there's no more E3 probably, but
probably never.
I've always wanted to go to E3. I never got a chance, but That's the one thing if I ever got a chance I would have gone to, I would have gone to, but sad it ended. But I think yeah, Half-Life would be a good one too. I always forget about that one, but yeah, that would be I could see that being a very, very good
Yeah,
movie if
I think I've seen a bunch of like TV shows over the years that have definitely borrowed bits and pieces where I feel like, yeah, it definitely could work, you know?
Oh,
But
Tenchu. Someone just mentioned Tenchu as a movie series.
yeah,
I actually that could be good. I mean, it's ninjas. I mean, it works.
yeah,
It could give you kind of insight to the ninja life when because there's been some decent like ninja-y samurai movies that I think Tenchu. I mean, will they ever make another Tenchu? Probably not, but
probably
I
not.
think it could be.
But I think is there a Metal Gear? I don't know why my brain's just gone to Metal Gear for some reason. I think of the
I
part
think they are
stealth element
making them.
Tenchu.
I think they're working on a Metal Gear movie. I think
Yeah,
they are working on one. I don't know if you could do that one because Metal Gear is so out there that I don't know if
yeah.
people could. Even the gamers of us out there who played, I'm sure everyone could agree with me. If you play Metal Gear, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah,
What?
I mean,
Like,
if they
I
like,
don't get it.
because I mean, they could make like a real like badass, special ops guy, Snake, whoever they cast or whatever, and it's a great action movie. It's gritty and it's mean and it's bloody and the guy is cool and he's. But if they really want to make a Metal Gear movie, if they really want to give it that Kojima touch, you've got to get like, I don't know, 40 minutes into the movie and then it just goes animated and there's
Just goes
somebody
animated all of a sudden into a weird,
yeah
weird cartoony look, and you're like, wait, what? Am I still watching the same movie here?
and there's a guy with like googly eyes on his ass or something and God only knows there's
Yeah.
Donald Duck turns up and it's what and then you've made a Metal Gear movie which have they got the balls to really do that? I mean, obviously not
I mean,
exactly what I
they
said,
they
but
did
something.
just make a D&D movie not too long ago, and that was actually a decent movie. You got to give them credit there. So I mean, they took a risk on a D&D movie, and it
Was
worked out.
Yeah, I think it was a fun movie, but I think it got incredibly overhyped. I think
Yeah,
because it came out weirdly for me. It's one of a bunch of movies that's come out recently during the sort of Marvel backlash that people are having.
yeah.
That
I
even
think if
though this movie clearly kind of follows the MCU blueprint, like to the letter, it is like a Marvel knockoff movie. It's done very much in that vein. The team, the
yeah,
banter, the way it's shot,
yeah.
everything about that movie. It doesn't exist without the MCU coming first. You wouldn't
Unfortunately,
make it
yeah.
that
But
way. But
I
seeing as it
I saw
was
it,
a Marvel
and as a
movie, everybody
mhm.
went, "It's great," and everything that they said was great about it is everything that happens in the Marvel movies, and yet you're shitting on one and praising the other, even though they're the same, because that's just
Mhm.
how people work these days. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I saw it as I went and saw it. I saw it as a D&D fan. I appreciated it and the references and lore and the respect they took to the series. To answer this Chad's question here, call me Trickle. There is actually a play here that's going on in New York where the entire play is a D&D play, and the cast and all the decisions are made by dice rolls by the audience. So I've not
Fantastic.
seen it, but I've heard from people it's actually supposed to be hilarious because you get a different play every night because your entire play is based off dice rolls and what the rolls and how things happen. So I've heard some people say it and they said it's hilarious because it's like, all right, we're gonna go fight these guards. I'm gonna attack. Nat one. I guess I just threw my sword into the audience, and you see a flying plastic sword go whoop. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to punch a guard now. This is gonna end badly.
So
So
good. So, kids, it's so easy to get sidetracked. You get people like us in a room together over a night, which we could be here all night. I'm determined to try and rein this in a bit because
yeah,
nobody wants to watch my 4-hour videos. But
You
so
never know.
if you feel like you don't have enough insight into how this man's brain works based on this conversation, we're going to get really deep in there now. We're going to play a little bit of this or that, Taylor.
Okay.
No prizes, no wrong answers, just a bit of fun. We're going to kick off with the straightforward, easy one, as I always do. Cats or dogs?
Ooh. I've had both. So I'm actually going with cats on this one. But I have both.
Nice. Beer or wine?
I actually am not a fan of. I actually like rum. I'm guilty, folks. I'm a rum guy. Beer and I hate beer. I live in the U.S. I know the U.S. is known for our Budweiser, Bud Light, Michelob, but I hate them all. I like rum and even sometimes whiskey, stuff like that. I'm that guy.
Yeah. So, pizza or kebab?
Ooh. I'd actually go with kebabs.
See, everybody is. I think, man, is that the first kebab? I think you might be
Probably.
the first kebab. I think every lot
Usually
of Ninja Turtles on this. Okay. Would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf?
I'm gonna have to go with the vampire. I like the ability of flight and the immortality aspect. I mean, I've actually had this discussion with my fiance. Like, I wouldn't mind being a vampire. You could just, hey, I need to drink blood. Well, you got all those people on death row that are going to die anyways. Nice, that helps population control there a bit, and you keep your blood supply going.
You think you can sort of mentally, emotionally cope with the immortality thing? Like, were you to get attacked?
If I knew a guy, if I'm killing a guy here and he's known for murdering like 150 people and raping children, I could live with that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, people. Just I'm putting that out there.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you get, if you like someone or even love someone, and they're going to die like in around 80 years time, and you have to.
Yeah.
Kind of,
I understand that.
And again and again. And so going into isolation to avoid that can't be fun either.
If anyone's seen the Seven Deadly Sin series, they kind of introduced that trope with the main characters, with the one who always watches his love. As soon as she learns she loves him, she dies like a week later or something in the series. And it's like, and he's been living for like 1,000 years. And he has to like find her every time she reincarnates as a new person. And it's like, that would just be terrible. But I mean, if I was immortal, I could probably go out there and start trying to fix some of the things wrong in the world probably and be like, you're going to die. I'm like, I'll be back tomorrow, guys. Don't worry. I'll outlive you.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Okay. Would you rather go skydiving or scuba diving?
Ooh, I'd actually do scuba diving because there's so many cool things to see in the ocean. I'm kind of like fish in the sea kind of guy. I'd love to go like snorkeling like in the Great Barrier Reef or something like that just to see all the unique wildlife out there.
That would be cool. Now, would you...
I just read the comment. Yes, let me vampire. That's great.
Now, would you consider yourself a leader or a follower?
Depends. Like in my work life, I'm kind of a follower guy, but I'm also the guy who goes, there's got to be a better way we can do things. Like, this way is not the best way. I know there's, but when it comes to nerdy things, I'm kind of a leader guy. Like, okay, guys, like in my D&D group, I'm like, okay, guys, we've just spent the past hour and a half arguing over this one decision. Yeah. Let's just make a decision and move on.
Okay. What else have we got here? Would you rather have money or free time?
Time. Money kind of comes into play because with money you can also get time. So it's kind of like right now, if I was a multi-million, like if I had, $50 million, I would just first off pay off all my debt in life, and then I'd invested so I could live off the interest, and I would just go do whatever I want. So it's kind of like money would get you that time.
That's the plan. Yeah. I think that's everybody's plan ultimately. The best we can make of the the culture we've created for ourselves. Okay. Uh, yeah, polka dots or stripes.
I'd go with actually stripes on that one.
Yeah. You know, strangely, I threw that in here. I have a list. I threw that in as a very like just kind of making up the numbers. Like I just wanted like 20 questions. It was like trying to come up with
I
something
mean,
interesting. Werewolves, vampires, money, free time. It was like fuck it, spots or stripes. And it's the one question that often has the most thought put into it from people, which I find incredibly hilarious. To the
I
point where
mean,
people even like
we
want
could
to
start a
elaborate,
fan.
like, is it
I could.
horizontal stripes or vertical? Like, doesn't matter.
I mean, there's a nerdy question I thought of that you could start a fan war though, which is Pokemon or Digimon. But
Well, I was so right here. It says Pokemon or Dragon Ball.
oh, you gotta do Pokemon or Digimon because they came out around the same time.
Digimon for me.
Really?
Yeah,
You go
yeah,
with Pokemon? I'm sorry, and don't get me wrong. I appreciate Digimon. I do like they actually have the characters grow up, and they have a bunch of movies showing them growing up, and like they're now in their like late 20s, and you kind of see their Digimon evolve with them in life and stuff. But
yeah.
it felt very. I don't want to put it nice. They just kind of got weird in the series in my book. Like the Digimon just kept getting more and more powerful. Like we went from like their champion level, also now there's an ultimate form, now there's a mega form, and now there's this ultra mega and god form, and I'm just
True,
like,
true.
because the last movie I saw it was like Omnimon's the most powerful form. No, he's not. There's even a form beyond Omnimon, and I'm like, this is like Dragon Ball Z all over again, where it's like I can get even more powerful again. I'm like, at this point, you might as well you could just poke something and you're gonna blow up the universe at this rate. So
Yeah, pretty much.
Pokemon, they at least ended evolutions. It's like, okay, you evolved. I guess you have a mega evolved form and stuff like that, but you don't just keep growing and evolving into some new form.
Yeah. To be fair, what I've done is I say Digimon, but I have been going back to Pokemon, and somehow, as a grey-haired old man, having a whole different take and appreciation on it, and really starting to like it. And if you ask me again in like this time next year, I might actually be saying Pokemon because I
Well,
did kind of.
even I kind of was the same boat until Pokemon finally reached its conclusion in the anime, and we kind of saw like, yeah, he's still 10 years old, supposedly in the series. I know they go with that logic,
Yeah.
but he finally reached his end game goal in the series, and they actually like sent him off and said, we're done with this character. Like they didn't just keep bringing him back.
Yeah.
Like it was finally nice for them to say he made his goal. He became, the technically the master in a sense, even though he says he's not. But they're like, okay, we're sending him off, and we're not coming back to him. Maybe he'll show up again as a cameo or something, or maybe something like that. But like
Yeah.
the story's no longer going to follow him, kind of thing. And I remember watching the episode, and I was just like crying a little bit in tears, like he finally did it. And then they had the original theme song playing in the final fight with Pikachu, and I'm just like, this is like my third 20 years of life here all wrapped into one moment. You're gonna make me cry, guys.
Yeah. Well, so while we're going with the controversial ones, Star Trek or Star Wars?
I'm sorry, folks, but I have to go with Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate Star Trek, but there's just some series in Star Trek where it just got weird for me, and I could not appreciate them. Even like the Star Trek movies, I was not a fan of. But I appreciate Star Trek, I still appreciate the series. I respect it. I respect the fans who enjoy it. I just feel like Star Wars overall has redeemed itself. I mean, the movies weren't great. I will admit that. The movies were kind of a hit or miss for them, but the shows that they've been able to develop in between them to like flesh out a lot of characters have really built up the world more in my mind. Have given a much more respect to actually respecting it, and like even the lore, like they've done a great job of protecting, like making sure lore stays accurate to whatever reasoning thing.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
I just finished The Acolyte, and I'm like, they're willing to like even admit, like, you know, they're making characters appear, but they're not like completely like, oh no, this never actually really happened. Like they'll admit, like, yeah, no, he's there,
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah.
I think
Again, the
I don't
Acolyte's
want to
got
spoil.
like
I'll spoil the finale. I'm sorry for spoiling the finale for people, but it sounds like from what they basically said is like, yeah, what really happened was it was just a, you know, rogue Jedi, and there's no Sith. There's no such thing as a Sith guy kind of thing, and it kind of ties into, you know, the Phantom Menace series and all the rest of the series where the Jedi are like, yeah, the Sith don't exist.
yeah.
They're gone.
I don't quite get. I know that the Acolytes had a lot of hate, which I don't quite understand. I mean, I'm not in love with it, but as we said
It's
with the
a respectable
with the Old
series.
Republic, yeah, as we said with the Old Republic, the Acolytes, the first time in live action, we're getting to see some of those grey areas,
The High
and they're
Republic era
acknowledging that.
of the Jedi.
I've been wanting to see that for so long. So
I
many,
agree.
so many novels, comic books, and definitely those games. The so many hours on those Old Republic games to finally see grey areas
It's
in
not
live
even the
action.
old. It's not even the old Republic. It was the High Republic when they were at their highest time. So you kind of saw when they were at their most powerful, and you're like, I can see why people don't like you guys, because you basically were judge, jury, executioner in that series. You determined everyone's fate. There was no you. They had no one to hold them accountable, and except for themselves. And I can see why people did not like Jedi in that series, because it's like they basically, even the series you saw them, they were kind of like judge, jury, executioner, and they only people held themselves accountable were their own selves or their own, you know, council.
Oh, no.
And it's like,
We can't have people out there using this power willy-nilly. They've all
exactly,
got to be brainwashed and indoctrinated into
they got to
becoming
be no us.
Jedi. You can't be
Or
a space witch. We're just going to rip your children away from you and take them
or we
with us
can't
to become Jedi.
or
Shit.
we can't tell you that
Shit.
there was another race of people out there who can use the Force. No, it was actually really just a rogue Jedi who went crazy. Like, and that's what they presented to everyone. And it wasn't, you know, the Senate, you know, who wrote the report? A Jedi. And it's like, okay, but none of the other Jedi who came back, who saw these crazy people here, were willing to say otherwise and say, no, that she's lying. This is, there's actually a, you know, another Force wielding person out there who was not a Jedi kind of thing.
I hope stupid, toxic internet bullshit doesn't scare them off for season 2. This is definitely a branch of Star Wars that I can get into.
Yeah, okay, this comment from Treacle, exactly, Jedi lie, they deal in the absolutes, and that's kind of what the series was pushing on us, is like, there's no gray area in their logic. It was all absolute, and if you had a gray area, all of a sudden you were considered a problem. Kind of saw the same thing with Qui-Gon Jinn in the first movie. He was a gray area guy, and I mean, they punished him by, oh, you're not a member of the council, even though you're better than half of us on the council, kind of thing. And it's just the High Republic kind of reinforced that idea of that old mentality of, you got to be absolute if you want to be, you know, given the responsibility kind of thing. So
exactly. So we're gonna try and sort of wrap it up a little bit, but I've got to ask, because I always do. Have you ever seen a UFO?
I have not, actually.
Have you ever seen a ghost?
Yeah, well, I actually have, yeah.
Story time.
So, it's kind of a weird So live in Minnesota. We have quite a few haunted places here in Minnesota. Believe it or not, we do. And there's been quite a few places where I've gone and I get that sixth sense of something's there that's not there. And there's been things like, okay, that wasn't there when we were here earlier, or that chair was not tipped over earlier. That chair was chilling on the, just sitting there against the table, things like that. So I've had probably the closest thing I had to is I can't remember. We went to like a old like haunted hotel. I went on a family trip with my family, and I swear I saw just this like child just chilling in a chair playing with a doll, and no one else saw it. And then I learned later, I guess, from like the manager, I guess there was a child who was murdered there, and before he was murdered, he was playing with his like favorite superhero doll in his chair, and then but like 5 minutes later, I think they mentioned the story like his dad came out and like shot him with a gun or something in like a rage. It was like a crazy suicide rage thing. It was like, whoa. And I'm like, my parents are like, oh, I'm sure you were just seeing things. I'm sure it was just, the light or something. And I'm like, I don't think so, but okay.
I think
you can.
If you see the thing and then you get the story, because someone tells you the story first, then it's on your mind, the power of suggestion and all that.
Yeah, I know.
But if you see the thing and it's from like mentioning the thing, that's when somebody tells you the story, that kind of makes me go, oh shit, I really did see the thing.
Well, I believe in the supernatural. I'll admit that here to everyone on this pod. Like this, like I believe in there's a supernatural, and there's I call it, I want to say either entities or spirits or whatever that do linger on here over things that happen to them, who maybe not seek the peace they need in life or whatever the reasoning, but or just some otherworldly forces. Because I'm sorry, I'll admit this, but I don't think we just die and move on right away for everyone. I don't think that just happens. I think there is some people who just need closure for something that happened in their life that they can't move on or whatever until they get that closure. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if there are, spirits and ghosts and everything around us, and people who've suffered horrific either murders or tragedies or whatever that are still lingering here trying to get that closure in life before they can move on to whatever the next step of life is, whether it's heaven or hell or purgatory or reincarnation or whatever religions have.
Well, one day we'll all find out.
Exactly. One day we'll all find out.
And we never know when that's coming.
Exactly.
Would you want to know?
Exactly.
Would you want to know? If you could know.
I would like
when you were going to die, would you want to know?
I kind of like to know. At the same time, I'm okay not knowing, because I also would like to go, every day you try and make the best of it you can. Like, yes, I know there are some days that are worse than others, but I always go by the philosophy, make the day the best you can be. Whether it's, even if it's enjoying, even if you do nothing that day and you get nothing accomplished, at least you got to enjoy the day doing, just in relaxing and not being on the run. Like, I've gone on vacations where it's like, it's not a vacation because we were doing 1,000 things, running from here to here to here to here to here, seeing all these things. And those are fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to see all these things. But I've also gone on a couple of vacations where it's like, we go here, maybe go, do one or a couple things a day, 2 or 3 things, but then we just enjoy the rest of the day. And it's like, those are fun too, because it's like, you can just relax, unwind, let your mind just kind of decompress from everything, and just you don't have to focus on anything or plan anything. You can just enjoy the time you're having.
Yeah, I had just a week off work not too long ago, just staying at home but not having to go to work. And even for that, I had this like whole list of like films that I was going to get watched, series that I was going to binge, games that I was going to get to the end of that I've left halfway through or
I need
whatever,
those some
and
days.
things like
I
that.
think I need that. I
And
need a vacation like that.
I kind of did none of it, you know. I just it like I got, even though, like I say, even though that's like fun stuff, I just still somehow wasted, but
Not wasted.
not in a bad way, you know. Like
Oh,
almost every day, just kind of, you know, tumbleweed past
yeah,
me. But it was cool to just, it was still kind of nice and like, yeah, a bit of some
yeah,
like refreshing and just resetting from just
yeah.
all
Like
work and stress and do it. And I had no plans. I didn't have to be anywhere. Like you said, even for a fun thing, nobody was expecting me to be here at this time or whatever. So it's
mhm,
like it was my time to waste, and
yeah.
I wasted it.
And
I felt
yeah,
a
like
little bit bad after. It's like when people ask me, "Oh, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do that?" Because I mentioned, oh, "I'm going to do that. What are you going to do with your week off?" Oh, "I'm going to do this and that." And it's like, "So did you do this?" No, never quite got around to it. Well, what were you doing? Nothing. Like I don't know how I managed to kill so many hours doing nothing. I must have been doing something, but it's like, but what if I wasn't? I had an actual list. Something as easy as just stick to the list, and couldn't do it. But it was good.
oh yeah, no, like my friends, I just took probably about what I think it was January this year. We took we took our first cruise ever, and we didn't really. I mean, they have activities you could do on the cruise ship and all that stuff, and but we just kind of like, yeah, we could do that maybe or not. We just kind of like, well, we just kind of went on our own pace. I mean, you saw some people were like, well, I want to go do this, and then we got to go, and then we got to be there at 4 o'clock for this thing, or 2 o'clock for this thing, and this thing, and this thing. And I'm just like, I'm on a cruise ship, and I don't have internet service, so there's no one harassing me by phone or text
Yeah.
messages. Um, and they're going to get to wherever we're going on our destination whenever they get there. I'm just going to do whatever I feel like and enjoy the ride. Yeah, sure, I'll go swing by the buffet here at 3 in the afternoon because I
Yeah.
can. Or, oh look, they have bingo going on at 6. Yeah, let's go check out bingo or karaoke or whatever. Like
You
it
know, in
was
a sense,
wonderful.
like
Like
the whole point, to a degree. Like I said, there's different types, different things, and everybody's enjoys different things. But if a vacation comes with an itinerary,
it's not a
it isn't
vacation.
really a vacation, Yeah. So be here
And
at
I've
this
been on
time,
those
do this at that time.
vacations where it's like, we gotta get to here by this time and this time so we can get to this event. I'm like, is this really a vacation if we're on the go all the time? Because we're not really enjoying it. We're too busy focused on trying to get to the next thing.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of potentially quick fire questions. It's never going to be because I'm not like that. But so what was the last movie you watched that you'd recommend? Might not necessarily be a new movie. It might be a really old movie, but like the last movie you feel you watched that you go, oh yeah, everyone should see this. Great.
So the last movie I really enjoyed we saw was actually we saw Despicable Me 4 in theaters. I'm a kid at heart and I loved it. I love the Minions. They're hilarious.
I have
I
yet to
found it
see any of it.
hilariously fun. It's a fun, cute movie. The Minions are my favorite part of the series. I just love that they're just silly, and it's great. Um, if anyone's listening to this, and you'll see them, you'll probably see them online. There's rave reviews for the movie called Long Legs, starring Nicolas Cage. I already saw it. I'm going to tell you all right now. Please don't waste your money. I'm sorry. We saw it. They said it's supposed to be like the next, Silence of the Lambs feel kind of
Yeah.
movie, and it's not. It was my fiance loves horror movies. She loves like Silence of the Lambs, those kind of movies. Even she walked on, she said, "This is terrible." That they didn't explain anything. Nothing was really
Yeah.
explained, or if they explained it, it was half-assed. And the only good actor was Nicolas Cage, who played a creepy psychotic guy, and I'm like, unfortunately, that's just what Nicolas Cage is good at playing overall lately. So, but
Yeah.
it was a waste of. We called it. It was 2 hours of our time wasted that we'll never get back.
You know,
So I
I've
think
been
almost
hearing
everyone
this.
who walked out of that theater thought it.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this movie for quite some time. Um,
You're going to be disappointed.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
and this is what I'm hearing at the same time as I'm seeing like 4 and 5 star reviews
Exactly.
from like
That's what we
journalists
did too, because we
and
were excited to
critics.
see it because we were getting, Rotten Tomatoes had like
That's
94%.
through them.
People were giving it 4 and 5
Yeah,
stars. We were seeing people saying, this is like the next Silence of the Lambs. And we walked on, we're like, no, this is nothing like Silence of the Lambs. This is terrible.
yeah.
Nothing was explained well. Nothing was done. I mean, cinematography was decent and good, but
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't care about any of the characters. I think there was no real horror to it. It was just weirdly dumb.
I mean, I've, I've got to see for myself, as you
Go see
do,
for
as is the only
yourself,
way
but
to do these things.
you can send me a message, and I'm waiting for you to tell me
Yeah,
you were right. This
but
was a
I've
waste.
no doubt, no doubt, because this is it. Like I said, the media is telling me it's fantastic, but people uh, are telling me it's the complete opposite of that. Not even like it's overhyped, but just outright terrible. Which
Yeah.
I don't think I've experienced such a polar opposite of opinion. Not for quite some time.
No, no. Usually the media is decently accurate when it comes to something, but
Yeah,
no, they got it.
but if it was
I
getting
don't know if they
mixed
saw
reviews,
something we saw, but what we saw was garbage in our book.
ah,
And we don't say that very about a lot of movies because we go to movies like every Tuesday
yeah,
for like our 5 Tuesday movies here. So we see a lot of movies, and oof. We even recently saw a movie called The Possum Trot. It's a story about a family, like about a town that adopted a bunch of kids in Texas, like 57 children they adopted in this town. And even we thought that was better than Long Legs. And I'm like, it was like a lifetimey feel good movie,
yeah.
but we were like, this was actually a decent movie. Like
Okay,
it made you feel good a little bit,
okay. I
but
swear to God, last question, and we're gonna wrap this up, however long this takes.
Leave the World Behind Netflix. I've not seen that. I'll have to watch it now, probably.
what's a what's a movie? What's a movie that you feel the general kind of consensus is that it's trash, that you would fight for, that you would go, no, I like it. Like the way that I have that soft spot for the Mario Brothers movie is one.
Yeah.
I think everybody seems to be having so much fun in the movie. You've got like some like Dennis Hopper. Like I know it's ridiculous. I know as King Cooper or whatever. I know it's a terrible portrayal of the character, but to see
Yeah, that's true.
Dennis Hopper doing that, and that he agreed to do that, and he seems to be having fun doing it. There's something about that I just I adore it in its terribleness. Also for me, Hudson Hawk, the old Bruce Willis like cat burglar thief movie, was like
Yeah.
universally panned. Again, there's just something kind of it's B Dub being B Dub, and maybe I'm just a Bruce Willis fan. I don't know, but I quite like it. Also, Waterworld, uh,
Yeah.
which has its anniversary this very day, released this very day, 1995.
God.
But yeah, we're so old. That movie, it flopped. It costed. It was like the most expensive movie ever made, I think, at the time. Made none of it back, is berated and hated on, and I liked it at the time. I've watched it probably way too many times for how bad it's supposed to be. Over the
Hmm.
years, I keep coming back to it or trying to show it to people who missed it or are younger.
Hmm.
I like those movies. Have you got one or two of those?
So this is gonna, I don't know. I don't know if it had critical hate that a lot of people hated it, but I do know a lot of people thought it was stupid. I was a big fan of I know people remember Dodgeball, the
Oh yeah.
movie. A lot of people weren't a fan of it. They thought it was just a stupid slapstick comedy. It got trashed by a lot of people, but I stand behind like
Great
it knew
movie.
what it
Rip
was.
Torn.
It knew what it was.
Yeah, Rip
It
Torn
knew what it
was
was. It knew
fantastic.
what it was doing. They weren't going to try and be something they're not. And so many people were like, "Well, no, it needs to have a better plot, better characters, and better everything." And it couldn't have told a better story. And I always went, but they weren't going to do that. They knew what they were. They knew what they were aiming for, and that's what they stuck with. They stuck with their guns. And if you go in knowing, go with that movie of like, it's going to be a stupidly kind of slapsticky comedy, funny movie.
Yeah.
That's it's going to be weird. I mean, there are going to be some poor tasty jokes, as someone say it, or stuff like that. But it's going to be a little dumb funny, but it will be. You'll enjoy it for what it is. If you go in knowing what it's going to be, you'll enjoy for what it is. And it's that, and that's what I went in with it. And I love some of the references, like Chuck Norris making his appearance at the end of the movie made me laugh still.
Yeah.
I still love like, oh, look, it's Chuck Norris. He's still around, boys. So stuff like that. Actually, I just saw recently a commercial on TV for Chuck Norris trying to sell like some type of like medical supplement for like weight loss and testosterone boosting. I'm like, you're still around? You're still advertising? Okay then, but
immortal. Chuck Norris and Keith Richards, I think, will never die.
he never will. But that's the movie that like I even got my fiance finally to watch it after all these years, not long ago, and she's like, I found this funny, and I found it entertaining and good, and I'm just like, thank you. She's like, I was high though when you watched it. Because we're in Minnesota and marijuana is legal here now, and so she had like a gummy with it, and she's like, but I enjoyed it, and this is a movie I think I can watch when I'm high in the future. I'm like, I'll take that as a win, because she says Bob's Burgers is also great to watch when you're high, and I'm like, well, there, we found a movie you can watch when you're high and enjoy it, so I think that's a win.
Yeah.
So that's my movie choice.
And you can just, occasionally throw things at it, soft things that won't hurt, just so you can say, if you can dodge, you can dodge a dodgeball.
I've said that a couple times. I've thrown it like a pillow. Yeah. I'm like, if you can dodge this pillow, you can dodge a ball. Even my daughter's quoted a couple times because there's like a jump park near us that we go to, like one of those trampoline parks, and they have dodgeball there. And she's like, hey, Dad, looks like you can't dodge a ball after all. And I'm like, you quoted the movie, you turd.
Fantastic.
So.
Okay. We're going to wrap this up. I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much for doing this. It's been a pleasure, dude.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. I'd love to do this again. This was a great time for me, honestly. I'd love to do it again in the future.
We will. Kids, Taylor, the namesake of Taylor's Nerdy World.
You can find me on Facebook.
Funny
I used to have actually an Instagram. Yeah. I used to have an Instagram page. It got hacked, unfortunately, so I had to shut it down because, I don't need the hacker trying to recruit my people and get them to buy crypto and other crap, apparently, because I found this out from some of my followers. He's like, are you trying to get me to buy crypto? I'm like, no, that's a hacker. Please don't. I'm trying to delete the account right now. And, of course, Facebook and Instagram, I swear to gosh, they're the slowest companies ever out there when it comes to protecting accounts. So... But they finally took it down. I'm like, thank gosh. So it's only on Facebook right now, but I'm hoping to try and revive the Instagram here in the future.
Yeah, that's Taylor's Nerdy World. Fun, nostalgia, memes, reels, all that good stuff. Just
that's right.
Make you smile. Give you something to talk about. Give you that water cooler moment when you go, hey, just look at this. Because
remember this. Do you remember this too, kids?
When you're supposed to be working.
I had that happen not too long ago, and I had a coworker found my page and like, I just saw your page. Damn you and Mario Kart, you had to bring that back into my life because I posted a meme about, I'm about to win this race would seem rather sad. And then there's a picture of a blue shell, and I'm like, you reminded me of my anger at Mario Kart. And I'm like, you're welcome. Enjoy. You can now go yell at me. You can be angry at me and your friends for the next 20 minutes as you yell at them for costing you all those Mario Kart races with their blue shells.
Fantastic. Yes. Yes. Again, thank you again. Yeah, we will definitely do this again. Because of course, by the time we do this again, whenever that may be, we will have both seen Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh,
and
I'm going this Tuesday.
There'll be plenty to say about that. Even then.
I'm going this Tuesday. I'll be there.
Yeah. Good ass time, kids. But for now, Taylor Klein, which, by the way, Taylor Klein, right? If that's not...
Yeah, that's right.
Right? That's about as like an American hero name as a poor English northern guy like me can think of. That's the kind of name I can only hear in that kind of 80s movie trailer deep throat voiceover kind of a guy. You know, it's
in a world.
Tyler Klein was one day away from retirement. You know,
the old rough 80s narrator voice.
Tyler Klein was coming home to his family. Tyler Klein had one last mission.
I could see it actually, yeah.
Yeah. Tyler Klein is Tyler Klein in Tyler Klein Adventure.
The Annihilator or some weird name they give the co-names those guys in those 80 movies.
Yeah. Or the classic Tyler Klein is Tyler Klein, and Tyler Klein is Nyla Tyne, his evil twin sister.
Exactly. Evil twin cousin.
Anyway, I swear to God, I'm going to go now. As the sun sets slowly in the west, kids, from me and Tyler, thanks for watching. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Wherever you are, whatever you are. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Stay nerdy, everyone. Stay nerdy.
Nerdy.